Hello, hello. Happy Thursday, November 13th, 2025. Yes, I am an hour early. Um, and apologies to those who are also tuning in to the Pen Addict. But you're probably not here to hear me say it, so, well, there it is. Thursdays, I think going forward, I am going to run the stream from 1 to 4 o'clock instead of 2 to 5 like I normally do. Reason being is Thursday is our early day. We're here before 7, and Lisa is done around 4, so it's already a long day. And instead of doing 2 to 4 or 2 to 4:30 and cutting out early, I just as soon start an hour early and maybe get the whole time in so that I can go home shortly after 4. It just makes a little more sense. I'll get maybe the full time in for repairs. And there we have it. Hello, Russell. Hello, Juicy. So that's, you get an early night then. There you go. Yeah, you might get you might get to watch the whole thing. So anyway, we'll try that. We'll see what happens. It was a busy day today. To keep up the beard and the mustache, you won't recognize me. Yeah, I gotta shave tonight. Not the mustache. It's still November, so we're about halfway there. Busy day today. I got Graf von Faber-Castell ink in today. Not all of it, unfortunately. Some of it was back ordered, and they shipped it to my house, so I had to cut out and once I discovered it was at my house, I had to go home to pick it up. It was packed very oddly, but whatever, I guess. Almost no ink leaked. I had a little bit of ink leak, but that's it's okay, I guess. I'm not going to raise a stink about it. So Graf von Faber bottled ink is up on the website now. Samples will be forthcoming. It's probably going to take me, it's probably going to be middle of next week. Middle to end of next week before that's all done. Because there's a lot of bottles of ink. And there's also Auto Hut scented ink. There's 16 colors of that, which I'm working on right now. They're not on the website yet. But they should be hopefully by tomorrow. Other words, early next week. And then those as well. Yeah, we did get Stone Gray in. We're missing like 5. Violet, Hazelnut Brown, India Red, and 2 others. I can't remember. Deep Sea Green, and the 5th is, I don't remember the 5th is. So bottles up, ink samples next week. I got to sample them up, and Faber converters as well. So are any of these brands vintage friendly? Auto Hut is an unknown. Faber, I have not tried. So I can't say yeah or nay on that one. More research is necessary. All right, yesterday was a challenging day. let's take a look at what was on the bench. That's about how I felt about it. All nice and blurry. There we go. We'll talk about this 21 in a minute. Today, this pen did real well. We're going to seal this up. This is done. These two pens can go. They can get back to their owner, which will be nice. The Aikin, it's such a small feed. I had a discussion with a friend of mine last night on possibly pinning the feed, but there's just not much material there, and I don't want to break it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to epoxy it and then sand it down, and at least it will be whole. I'm not going to use the pen, so until I find another one, that will probably suffice. There's just nothing else, and hopefully it will be strong enough to survive being inserted into. Well, that goes in pretty easy, so it should survive getting into the section, and that's all. That's all. The further it needs to be, it probably will still work. We'll make sure that the channel is cleared out of any possible epoxy. So then we'll let that dry next week. Then we can fine tune it, and maybe we'll get this in there. We'll put this inside, and clean out the cap, and it'll be ready to go. All right, the 21, I think, is just not. There's two different kinds of 21s. There's this kind, which is the first version, the Mark 1, and then there's the Mark 2, which is a little different, and this is a Mark 1 barrel. So this nib unit that I have is for a Mark II. Is not going to fit on a Mark 1, and the Mark II units don't thread into a Mark 1 barrel. So, and since I'm completely fresh out of Mark 1 hoods that aren't cracked, I'm going to have to find another hood. Or the other alternative is to find a hood in a different color. I guess black would be the most aesthetically pleasing option that isn't cracked, and see if that works. But that's not really the way I want to do it. So that one we're going to hold off on, because I need to sort through this bag of 21s to see if there's anything in there at all that will work. If there is, then we'll move forward on that. In other words, I've got to go and place a couple phone calls, see if anybody's got anything. Probably the easiest thing to do is to find a complete working 21 and then just scrap it for parts. So anyway, so after that, I've got 3 pens that I need to clean. So I'm going to do that. And then I want to get working on, I bought a bunch of desk sets last week or 2 weeks ago. And so what I want to do is I want to start working on making sure I have pens for those desk sets so that I can get them photographed as early as hopefully next week. So we're gonna try to do that at the end if we've got time, and so I can get those things out of here. I can prove my worth that I'm not just buying desk sets to have them hang around. So All right, we're going to seal up the Snorkel. Be done with that. This person will be happy to get their 2 pens back. Tell yourself that and bind them to taunt Lisa. You know, it's there's a lot of reasons for buying desk sets. Number one, I like them. And what I found is, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a salesman. I have to sell my stuff, right? And my job is to have as varied a catalog as possible. So if I can have unique things that nobody else has, then there's only one place for people to get those things. I like desk sets so I can be enthusiastic about them. I do think they're cool and they're different. And while most people don't need more than one, a lot of people can buy one. And they look great on your desk. Yeah, I do get teased all over for the desk set thing. I had people coming up to me at the Ohio show. They come up behind me while I was looking at desk sets. They'd say, Lisa doesn't want you to do that. All right. The real end of the spectrum is that I've got lots of desk pens. So the only way to sell them is with the desk set. And I'm fairly well saturated right now with Esterbrook's. So the 500 I bought this summer, I mean, I can't do much with them until I sell through what I've got. You bought a pen several months ago that was being sold without the nib. You finally ordered a nib housing and will put one of the nibs that you bought for me last year. That other company. All right. Moving right along. So I think what we're going to do, because pulling this out, DRZ in the house. You know, I haven't spoken with him yet today. He probably doesn't know I'm going to be early. I ran into a problem where this here got caught on the opening. So I think the key is to put it in at an angle and then rotate it once we get past the opening. Did I get it? I think I did. Might need a little bit of adjustment later, but it's in there. Next, we're going to mix up some epoxy. And hang on a minute. I've got a desk set that needs epoxy too. So while we're mixing stuff up, let's just do one big batch of epoxy. I'll be right back. Well, y'all remember this set. Well, I was taking this out to show it out. We had a problem with the rust desk set. And we fixed that with some epoxy. And I was showing this to a customer not too long ago and literally tried to pull the magnetics off and it pulled the whole thing out. So I'm just gonna I've sort of cleaned off most of the old adhesive on here, enough that we'll be able to get a good adhesion. But this has kind of been in the way for the last week or so. So well, it's been more than a week actually. So this needs to get out of my way is what it needs to be. All right. Question is how am I going to secure these two pieces? It's just not big enough to pin. Let's do the base first. Well, if that's enough. Big glob in there. I think I. Hmm. Well, this stuff is really, really hard. May or may not be enough. You know what I want to do first? Real quick, because I'm just going to wire brush this off. I think I need more. We'll see if that's enough. All right. We are going to set that off to the side. And now the more important part. I've got just enough on here to This should set in, it says 5 minutes. So we're going to sit here and chat for 5 minutes and hope that I've got it lined up right. I have no way of clamping this except by holding it. What I need is one of those little things that holds the pieces together. Of course, now I've got the end of this sharp feed jamming into my thumb. That's kind of fun. We're going to have to clean out the feed when we're done with this. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Quiet day today. When we get this done, we'll move on to some cleaning. Really what I need to do is bake this, but I need to keep the parts together. Sorry, I can't read the chat that's going on over on YouTube. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't actually read the screen. I'm just gonna hang on to this for a little bit longer. It's been about 5 minutes, believe it or not. It says it's handleable in 10. Okay, so yeah, now I've jammed it into my thumb. So after 5 minutes, it's starting to get solid, but not solid enough. You want to get a replacement nib for vintage pens, make sure to get a nib that is specifically for the model you have. There are differences. Very much so. It has to be for the exact model. I mean, sometimes they cross ranges, but not all Vacuumatic nibs work on all Vacuumatics. You got to get the one for the major or the Deb. I am not going to hang on to this for an hour. That's what I'm telling you right now. I would say don't ever buy a vintage pen with the intent of switching out the nib. You buy a vintage pen with the nib that you like, because getting a replacement nib is not easy. It's expensive, and then you have to get it swapped out, and it is not user replaceable. Okay. It's holding pretty good. If I can set this down and it doesn't. I just put it on its own little pen rest. And we're gonna let that sit for a while. I'm not gonna touch that. The longer we wait, the better that is going to be. All right. Next up, I got a couple of Waterman Carens here I want to clean up. And then I've got a couple of desk pens I got to find nibs for. Yeah, this one is, I knew this one was had leaked. I'm going to flush most of it out in this. Oh, my goodness. Uh, hey, Caleb. Why does it seem that vintage pens tend to not have broad nibs, or are they just not as popular? What you have to remember, and what people fail to remember, is that nowadays pens are nobody needs a fountain pen. And today people use fountain pens for different things than when they were first invented. People want to put all the ink on the paper and they want to see the ink. I mean, back in the day, you had all the choices in the world of what inks you wanted to use, as long as you wanted black, blue, or blue black, for the most part. Colors did come around, at some point. Uh, but people were using these every day. This was an everyday thing, and you quite simply could not function. People were doing accounting. They were writing ledgers. They were doing real work in real small spaces with fountain pens, and so they needed extra fine and fine nibs. Well, yes, it is possible to find broads and stubs and things like that for signatures. The majority of your people were using these every day for work. And broad nib was just not feasible for the work involved. It was not economical. It obviously goes through ink. And if you've ever seen ledgers and things that were written back in the early 1900s and 1920s, and even 30s and 40s, a broad nib would just be ridiculous. You couldn't do it. So extra fine and fine is where it was at, And you know, and also you're writing letters, and you're writing, you know, everything was expensive. So your paper was, you're putting as many words on a piece of page as you can. Hans, you're not late. I am early. This is the new Thursday schedule. At least I'm going to try anyway. So do not apologize. I did not communicate it to you earlier in the daily briefing. Yeah, accountant bookkeeping nibs are really fun. We didn't have QuickBooks in the 20s and 30s. You can't read my mind yet? Well, right now we're cleaning some nibs, we're cleaning some pens. And then we're going to do some Esterbrook Desk pens. And it looks like that's setting up pretty good. So we'll just try to not disturb it so it hardens. I love my little pen rest there. Of course, my luck, it's going to like... get stuck to that, but I think it's far from the... These converters are really... These pens were put away with ink in them. Hey, you know, today, as if it was serendipitous, after yesterday being the last day that the U.S. Mint was making pennies, I found in some change today a weed penny. So I thought that was kind of cool. Maybe I need to get one of those coin books again and start popping in the pennies. This one had red ink in it or something. He sent me a few dozen rolls. I haven't asked my bank yet. I don't know what the situation there is. I've got a couple rolls here, so I mean, I'm pretty good. If I know my clients, though, they probably all have rolls of them at home. Oh my goodness. All right, so that we're just going to ultrasonic, I think. That's pretty clean. All right, while we're waiting for those to clean up, I have had this cap soaking for weeks now. What do we think the possibility of coin collectors will swipe up the last of the 2025 pennies? Yeah, from what I understand already, they're going for above. Rolls are going above, well above cost on eBay. All right, I need to get this cap off, or this jewel off. Because this clip is super loose. Yeah, the hysteria's got, yeah. Seller's market right now. I had to laugh. I stopped over at the dollar store to pick something up. And they had a sign on the window, "We appreciate exact change." I couldn't believe it. If you're using cash, they want exact change. And I heard rumor they should eliminate the $1 and the $5 bill and switch to coins. I heard rumor that they're going to make the nickel out of zinc. What a weird situation that's going to be, huh? Very soft metal zinc. I don't think the world wants more coins, though. The U.S. anyway. I mean, but Canada's been doing it forever. So is most of Europe and Asia. Okay. They need to bring back the Eisenhower dollar. That's my hot take. You know, you're in the, they should bring back the wartime nickel, 50%, 5% copper, 35% silver, and 9% manganese, and make it worth a small fortune. You'd prefer lower denomination of dollars and coins rather than bills. Yeah. All right. So since it doesn't have a bushing, we've got to clean it out and try to get it as tight as possible. When you try to spend Eisenhower dollars and 50-cent pieces, all you get is confusion at the register. You know what makes me feel old is I'm reading some of these Reddit subreddits where people are talking about, you know, coin roll hunting and things like that. Or paper currency subreddits. And people are like, oh, well, I've never seen this $100 bill before. It looks weird. Is it fake? You know, I mean, it's the $100 bill we all grew up with as kids. Just today, there was somebody who couldn't believe that we made a mercury dime. They were just beside themselves. Like, yeah, that's normal. Just describe the fountain pen sub. Yeah, I had to laugh. There was a post on there yesterday about somebody had posted about an eBay auction for a Relief 12. Did you guys see this? Relief 12 in the that copper hatched plastic. It's exceptionally, I mean, it's pretty scarce. And this thing had original price bands on it and everything. I mean, it was something to behold. And I mean, I just couldn't believe it. And people were losing their minds because it went for, I think the final bid was $264. And, you know, and of course people are like, oh, well, I can get, you know, a bunch of Esterbrooks and like, you're not getting it. It's the rarest. It's probably the second rarest Relief 12 they ever made. It has stickers. It's new old stock. What, I mean, it's $264. It's cheap. It's very fair. It is very fair. And I'm thinking, you know, back in my day when I was buying relief pens, because I would buy every one I found, I would have paid a lot more than $264 for that. And these people are losing their minds. Like, it's not meant for you people. It is not meant for you. It is not the intended audience. Yeah, and quite honestly, had I seen it, I might have been inclined to bid because it's a stunning pen. If you've not seen it, it's, as we say here, it's all that in a bag of chips, man. I really much prefer the 51 cap over the Vacuumatic cap. At least you got something you can tighten down. And if you got to go through this whole hassle of taking something apart and soaking it for weeks, then at least you got an end result. But yeah, I feel old. I see these threads and people are questioning, the old $100 bill that was, nice and centered, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, really? Seriously? You can't look this stuff up? Like bicentennial quarters and stuff, All right, I might as well clean this clip while I'm at it. This pen's only been done for like a month and a half. Yeah, I post on Reddit like on the fountain pen forum. I post on there maybe once every 2 months. Maybe once a month. I just find it a little too hostile most of the time. And they don't want to hear the opinion of people who know what they're doing. All right, let's first of all, we're going to see if this will tighten down. Without No, it won't. Of course, now it's stuck. We tried a couple times to post genuinely rare and interesting pieces. Either no one cared or they told me I was wrong. And then the same Lamy Safari is posted again and it gets a million likes and comments. Yeah. Yeah. You still have people message you wanting to appraise their pens for free? All right, so let's see. I think the last time I had this problem, what I did is, so when we screw this in, so this is our Vacuumatic demi cap. When we screw it in, it bottoms out before it gets tight. So I think what we've done in the past is we've actually shaved off a little bit of the bottom so that it bottoms out and you can, it doesn't bottom out and you can tighten it. Because even if you put shellac in there, all you're doing is tightening up the, this might work. All you're doing is tightening up the threading. Oh, there it is. Like, I know I've got a file around here somewhere. We can just get a little bit off. Probably good, but let me just double check here. I mean, you don't want to do appraisals for the good of the community? I'm going to take a little bit more off. I think it's good, but sarcasm, of course, of course. I will do them and send me the bill. Well, you know, I have a similar situation in that obviously I do a fair amount of consignment for people. And I've had a couple people, one person in particular this year, who apparently I offended his ancestors or something because he did not like my rates one iota. I think his remark was something along the lines of there are several things in your because I have like a 2-paragraph thing that if someone's serious, I just send it to them. So I don't have to type it out. Here's how it works. Here's how I do it. You send them. I appraise them. I get approval from you if the pricing looks good. Here's my percentage. Da 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 da. You pay this. And he said there were several things that how did he word it? Were not acceptable. And I think some people are, I think some people just think I'm going to do it for like 10%. And they have no concept of the amount of work that actually goes into it. Any recommendations how to keep your pen collection safe from little ones? I have a 16-month-old, so I only take them out when he's napping or asleep, but not sure what to do when he gets taller. Get taller shelves. I honestly don't know. I think maybe the best thing is to that I've seen done before is to, instead of having them curious, show them your pens so that there's no mystique about what's in the box, and tell, okay, now that we've looked at the pens, you're not to, you know, if you want to look at them, you just ask, but you're not to use them without permission. I mean, I don't know how young they are, but I've seen that work well in the past. Okay. You gave your 3-year-old his own pens? Yeah. Cheap gold ones. Lucky kid. Jason. You've done descriptions for vendors. It takes an incredible amount of time. Anyone who thinks your percentage is too high should try doing it themselves. Yeah. And acquire the knowledge to know what they're seeing. And to have the mailing list that I have. And the clients that I have. That's the other part, right? But yeah, I mean, I'm very much behind. I listed 11 new pens today on the website. They're all mine because I got to do mine sometimes, so I make 100% of the money. And I've got another 20 consignment pens that I need to get up from 2 weeks ago. And I've got another 50 coming like next week. So there's There was no shortage here of. And it takes time. Boy, it just doesn't want to tighten down. I did have somebody in the last week um, who emailed me back after a couple of months, and he said, well, okay, I'm ready to. He couldn't find a better offer, apparently. Like, I'm actually getting to the point where I think I might be limiting. Um, I might be limiting my consignments coming up very shortly because I just have so many. I don't want to have. Normally, I would take. In the past, I would take one or two, no more than three consigners at the same time. Which allows me to finish up, you know. The stamp dealer you buy from has customer reactions like that when they want to sell their stamp collections, think they have very valuable stamps. But when he finds out what they do, he have is not rare and is not worth a whole lot. Yeah, yeah, right. I mean, we all have that, right? Grandpa passes away, leaves you the stamp collection. I used to collect stamps as a kid, and they're worth nothing. I mean, if you want good humor, you got to go to any of the stamp collecting subreddits. I don't go there as much anymore because I was trying to figure out, I was trying to see if there was anything that was valuable. I haven't seen my stamps in a long time. They're in the basement somewhere. But every reaction to Grandpa just died, passed on a stamp collection. Do I have anything valuable here? The first 8 comments, nothing. What do you have? You have a beginning of a stamp collection. No value whatsoever. All right. Do we think that this feed is stable now? It's been 40 minutes. It's just kind of in my work area. Yeah, what is it like? There was basically no valuable stamp before 1860 or something like that. Not a single one. You bought a ton of stamps earlier this year? 3 collections, you found out was lucky to get 45 to 60% of face value if you sold to a dealer. So you're using them as postage. Yeah, and that's what everybody says. Yeah, you just use them as postage. If they're, they're only worth any kind of money whatsoever if they're uncanceled. And then at that, they're worth face value for sure. Even stuff from the 20s. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? In the pen world, we would be like, but no, yeah, it's not worth much. Hundreds of full sheets from the 80s and 90s. I remember those years. That's when I was collecting, actually. My mom and my grandpa used to collect. Actually, my grandfather, Hans, you might find this interesting. My grandfather actually had a stamp company. He was a stamp dealer um, for many years. You're eager to help. I could probably help you. Um, my grandfather had a. Now, what's the name of the company? He and a buddy went in and they started a stamp company. Stamp company. One of these ones where they send you a sheet with stamps on them, and you buy what you want off the sheet, pay for it, and then send the rest back. I mean, imagine that in today's world, right? And it was I'll think of it. It was a combination of his name and the other guy's name. Um, I have a couple of the actual. I have a couple of the sheets that he would send out that were full that had his name on it and all that stuff. Um, but you know, it was also a lot of foreign stamps and. You went to a pawn shop from time to time, see what they had in the way of stamps. They didn't know what they had and were not asking much, so you grabbed them fast. Yeah. But we used to go. We used to go as a family. We would take a trip to and I don't remember where it was, but it was a reasonable distance, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. We would go to a stamp shop. My mom would buy the stamps, you know, the important ones, and I would sit there and I would look through the cheap bin. The international stuff, whatever. Slowly build up my collection, but I do remember those full sheets. Actually, there were some pretty cool ones in the 70s. You know, the bicentennial where they had the founding fathers and all that stuff. I gotta think. I can't think what the name of it. It was like, and then the name of it was funky. Like you wouldn't call it that today. It was like NORAD or something like that. I mean, it sounded almost like a military name. So if you ever come across any of that type of thing in your in your hunts, it could be my grandfather. It wasn't NORAD. It was. His name was Don. I forget what his partner's name was. I think my mother. I think my mother, when he passed away, my mother got most of his stamps. I think, or she gave them to me. I don't know. I will have to look. But it's just funny because at one point I remember going on the stamps subreddits, and then and finally somebody asked the question we all want to hear. Is like every time somebody posts a collection of stamps, everybody says, well, they're not worth anything. Like, what's an actual valuable stamp? I mean, like, how many valuable stamps are there? It just sounds like there's like 5, and you know, and those are the only stamps worth collecting. course, you know, we did back in the day, we used the hinges. So, you know, even the mint stamps are hinged, and you know that today is a big no-no. Complete year sets, yeah, I remember those, yeah. USPS come out with the Postal Service anniversary set sheet with I don't know how many stamps on it, put together like a large picture. Yeah, I mean they had things like that too, like with like I said during the bicentennial and but stamp collecting subreddits are they're a good laugh. Oh, get some of this ink out of here. Clean these converters while I'm at it. Might as well take care of them and get them all done. Do a bunch of D-Day commemorative sheets. They're neat, but only worth face value. Yeah, I mean that's the hard thing. I mean, but I guess you know, even in the 20s, they were printed in the billions, right? We're getting rid of the penny, but you know, you can still use a 1 cent stamp. All right. Cool crossover hobbies though. Stamps, coins, pens. All right, I'm gonna look at this. Has been almost an hour. I think it's. So we'll let that. I'll have to file it down, but it looks good. Just not enough room for. I don't know that there's enough room there for a pin. Funny part is this stamp dealer sends out orders and he uses older stamps on the envelope to pay for the post office. The post office he mails from does not cancel the stamps on the envelope. Oh my God. Just keep using them. Oh, yeah. All right. That should be good to go tomorrow. I still don't know what I'm going to do about this. Maybe I need to file this down even more. Yeah, I should get those stamps out one of these days. It's like I don't. There's like almost nobody helpful on those forums. Yeah, I remember doing that as a kid, soaking stamps off the envelopes. You steamed them off with kettle and then just made some tea. I think my mom steamed them off. She didn't want us kids to do it. Any excuse for tea. There you go. All right, if this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm going to do. I had a little piece come off. It's almost as if they put a washer in there or something. All right, we're gonna leave that. At least we got it off. Um, I'd like to get these converters open. That would be nice. Oh, there we go. What are we thinking? Schaefer's new management. I remember thinking when the old owners released the Bling Ink that it felt like they were trying to kill the brand. Well, so that was Cross, and Cross had no idea what the hell they were doing. Um, I was apprehensive when I heard it was being sold yet again, but um, Cross really needed money. It was a very desperate situation at Cross for quite some time. I mean, they didn't have refills. You couldn't get. I forget what it was. You couldn't get rollerball or ballpoint refills or something. Um, and it was like, well, and then when they had like the bling and they had it in that 30 ml bottle, which they called, and I don't remember, and Hans, you might know this better than me. I don't know that did Schaefer ever call that a bird's nest bottle? Well, that's what Cross seemed to think it was called, and that's what they called it. I don't remember ever seeing it called that, but when they came out with that in a 30 ml bottle, it was a complete disaster. They shipped it to dealers. It leaked. Yeah, they called it the bird's nest. I'm most certain of it. Um, and it was just so goofy. But then we had our cross rep, who was great. I do miss her. She was the last of the real old school reps, in that she would come and visit you, and we had to teach her everything about Schaefer. She didn't know anything about it. But Cross was doing no good, so I mean, it almost couldn't get worse. And William Penn took their sweet time getting certain things back in order, and they're just now starting to get certain things. But at least we've got more than black, blue, blue, black ink. Getting red, green, and brown back was a ink was a big step. Um, some of these new additions that they're coming out with are quite nice. Um, I mean, they're going in the right direction. I just think it's taken a while to get here. Cross had a president that has plans. Well, don't they all? Well, I mean, we got all the emails. The funniest one was when Cross decided late last year that they wanted to play in the luxury writing instrument space, and they eliminated their discount on all their products. And their document was hysterical. Was hysterical about how you were supposed to promote their products, and how they were supposed to be near like positioned products. Like, what are we positioning Cross next to? What are we putting it next to? You know, they you know, they want it next to Mont Blanc and DuPont, and yeah, next to Mont Blanc, of course. And we just laughed. We're just like, you have got to be kidding me. I'm like, okay, I'll put it next to Retro 51 and Monteverdi. I mean, and that's doing injustice to Retro. But it's a hysterical. It's like this eight or 9 page document about how you're supposed to respect the brand. And don't get me wrong, I use a Cross every day. Every day I use a Cross. And that probably comes as a shock to some people. But when I write on my invoices, it's the only thing that works. I mean, a fountain pen is just not gonna happen. And I found a kind of a cool Cross ballpoint at an estate sale a while back that has cats on it. So why not? All right. I got to do some easy repairs today. Yesterday was just so traumatic. Plus, I'd like to use these pens, so. But William Penn's doing it. I think they're heading in the right direction. They're just taking a long time. I don't necessarily agree with everything. Indy, good afternoon. I don't agree with launching a product that only comes in one color and one nib size, and it's your flagship model. That's maybe not the wisest decision, but Vlad, how are you? All right. Let's do some desk sets, shall we? Desk pens. It'd be interesting to see how Farney's new location store will be designed and displays with restrictions from like Cross and Mobile. I mean, Cross is not really. It's not really a restriction. It's a suggestion. They can't, in their right mind, think that they're going to enforce positioning of where Cross is placed in the store. You're still using your desk pen every day. Excellent. As you should. Toss that. It's all dried out. I got a 444 here in gray. I'm going to have to replace the cork, but I've got cork. It's actually really clean. Well, guess I'm getting some ink on there. I've got nothing in my ultrasonic right now, so I'm just going to drop the whole thing in there. It's handy being inked and ready to go. Awesome. And we'll put that in. Any news on the gold nib shaper? I haven't heard any news on the legacy. It's like you want to dip your toe with the new brand, but only very limited, as you say. Yeah. I mean, I get it. It's like what I'm doing. I mean, there are limited funds. I can't buy everything at once. So I buy what I think is going to sell. And then I expand on that. I'm going to get a new tray for the desk pen so I can separate it from the modern stuff here. Oh, that stinks. Oh, this bag. I have a bag of desk pens, and I just opened it up. Yeah, these are Carens. 3 Carens. What makes your ultrasonic very quiet? Well, it's not quiet. I think it's just that the microphone's not picking it up. I mean, it's probably 2.5 feet from the microphone. It's a Crest HTA 875, I think is what it is. They don't make it anymore. I've had this. I'm on my second one. They're not cheap. You have the blue one with the palladium cap. They've got a new one that I've got my eye on. I think this one is this is the Essence to Blue wavy cap. It's just super sexy. All right, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 desk sets, 7 lever-filled desk sets that I need to fill. So generally speaking, if it's a black set, I like to give it some kind of colored pen. If it's a colored base, then I give it a black pen, because I got lots of black pens. Actually, I've got 9 desk bases. These are not for sale. These Carens are not for sale. But I can get you an amber Caren if you're interested. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do... one of those, because I've got a burgundy. That looks good in brown, actually. I might do a couple blacks. I could just do all black and be done with it. What do I need? 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. How about that? Isn't that beautiful? What the heck happened there? Oh, here we go. There's a gray marble. That'll be a good one. Is this I don't have much in the way of marbled pens here. Oh, look at that. That's a find. That's a double X. That doesn't belong in that bag. Green. Maybe an all black. Yeah, these I like, I like how their caps have different patterns on them. It's kind of the modern 51 almost, You can swap caps easily. Ooh, this is a good bag of pens here. Ah, that's a good mix. That's a good mix. That'll be good. Yeah, so my ultrasonic is like a 3/4 gallon tank with the drain, and that's the important part because if I had to manually pick the stupid thing and unplug it and take it to the sink to clean it, it's just not. If something ever happens to this one, they no longer make an Crest anyway. No longer makes an ultrasonic with the drain less than 3 gallons, which is absolutely absurdly overkill. So you kind of have to go to like Chinese ultrasonics. I've had 2 of those before. They didn't last. One was okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But it, in fact, I should have kept the other one, but I had to, as we were selling things off last year, I had one. I had no use for it at the time. So I sold it to a guy who was going to clean engine parts or something. I don't remember what he said he was cleaning. All right. So I had the last Crest I had, it started to smoke, and I actually contacted Crest about it, and they will fix it for you. However, it's that classic situation where it cost almost as much to fix it's ridiculously expensive. And then, if they can't get it to work, you need another tray. Well, this is a dumb idea. This is better. If they can't get it to work, then you're like out $100 or something screwy like that. 100 or 200 plus. These things are not small, so you got to ship them. They're heavy. So I sent, they were extremely nice. They asked for pictures, and so I sent pictures. And he basically told me, well, it's not looking so good. So I threw it in the trash. Which is too bad because it's like a $400 or $500 machine. But, you know, what are you going to do? I could have spent $300 in parts and it still would not have worked. It bothers you that Lisa and I had to go through what we did with something that was not your fault at all? Yeah. Yeah, thank you. It sucks, but the end result, I think, in the end, we're better for it, I guess. I miss my employees. Starting over sucks, you know. But all it is time. The pen gods are smiling on me, so that's all right. Okay. And I've had plenty of very good friends to get us through it, so that's where you find out who your friends are. These are all reasonably pliable sacks, but you just can't be guaranteed how long they're going to last. This one's toast. Literally, I'm just pulling them off. All right. You have two Carens, a black and an amber. They're great pens. You pick up the amber one and matching ballpoint for $50 at an auction. Nice. That is a great deal. I went 1 to 3. What the on earth? I don't have 9 pens here. What am I doing? I got 8 at the most. Boy, I like that. I did like this double broad nib. These Yovo double broads. And that's why I wanted to get this, because I know they have them for Edison now, and it's just so, I'm like, well, I got to try that. It's just really a nice nib. Oh, that's a double action. I'm going to put something in this one. Oh, here we go. My favorite nib of all time, the 1550. Boy, that 02 is really nice. Anybody out there Franklin Christoph fans? Drop those in. I haven't gotten a new Franklin Christoph in a while. Let's check the J-bars. I've been able to come across a number of Franklin Christoph lately. I just listed 2 on the website this morning. I'm trying to think if I were to do another collaboration, what would be the model? You don't have one, but you're interested in getting one down the road? They're Piper trading pins. That's like their sub-brand, isn't it? Greyhound, I'm going to shoot you an email about your 21. In case you weren't here for the beginning. I've always liked the 02. Nice clip. I like the tapered barrel. I like how it posts. I wouldn't be against doing another 02 someday. These are all very clean. You got one called the Bog Monster? That's a heck of a name. All right, we need one J bar. Gabriel, hello. Lunch break. Nice. Yeah, Greyhound, long and short is there are two kinds of 21s. And I don't have the right green hood for yours. So we're gonna have to figure something out. I've got a couple suggestions. Lunch break. What's for lunch? I had a chicken stir fry where there was like almost no rice left because Lisa ate most of the rice. And so when I went to go put it together, there was like a little bit of rice and a whole container of, it was at the bottom of the pan. So it was like, everything heavy fell to the bottom. So it was like mostly chicken. 2 heads of broccoli, a tiny bit of rice, and some green beans, and that was about it. Made yellow Thai curry last night and you got leftovers. Nice. I love leftovers. I had a relative once who he refused to eat leftovers. I'm thinking you're not that wealthy to not eat leftovers. Like at all. Like get over yourself, brother. Yeah, curries and soups always better the next day. Right. Yeah, we are unofficially in soup season. Soup, stew, crock pot. You made American chop suey during the live stream yesterday. Yeah, I like chop suey. You met the type. Fools. Yeah, I know, right? I don't think they're smart enough to be called fools. Like I say, you're not. You got to be a certain level of wealthy before you can just say, you know what? I'm never going to eat leftovers again. I'm going to have new all the time. It's like we're in the same boat. You got a handful of Esterbrook Desk pens you're going through. Yeah, I gotta get these. The one thing about desk sets, and it's one reason that Lisa gives me so much grief about them, is they do take up a lot of space. And while I am fortunate that I have a whole warehouse here that I can keep all this stuff, I still have, more desk sets than the average bear, and I need them. I need them out. Almost without exception, they're not stable financially. The wealthiest people I know wouldn't turn their noses up at leftovers. Yeah, I mean, especially anything that's, I have always been of the opinion, and if the day ever comes that my son gets married, and not that it's would be his wife's job to cook for him, but if his wife were to cook for him, my first comment would be, you eat whatever she bakes, you like it, and and if you don't like it, then you have a conversation about what you do when you don't like, so that's what she makes. What you eat it and you be thankful. You don't let anything go to waste. More death sets than the average bank. Yeah. Right. Well, I don't want to get into politics or anything like that. Or this person, he spent his money in. And I can tell you how he spent it. He spent his money in ways that I found questionable. So instead of, spending it on things like food and housing, he had other hobbies. And it wasn't pens. They bought pens. No, they did not buy pens. Just spit on the pen. All right. Sand, my favorite color ever. For the record, does not look good on a wall of a room. Your brother or the cooks, the sisters know how to burn water. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to cook for yourself, you got no right, no reason to complain. These all in all are actually pretty clean. Your ex-sister-in-law didn't like the fact that you were a better cook than her? Like, who cares? Right? It's all about economies, right? Somebody's going to be better at cooking. Somebody's going to be better at being handy, household maintenance, cars, pen repair. I mean, Although the ladder doesn't usually come up in most households. Oh, 323. You know what I'm going to do? While that stuff is still soaking, I'm going to polish these real quick. These are all late post 1948 model W's of some kind. Your ex sister-in-law would actually hide the food you just made if she were visiting at the time. Home car repair is dying. Too much computer management. Yeah. I used to actually be fairly handy. Which reminds me, it's the 13th now. I really got to call on my car. I remember my parents going on vacation, and the day they went on vacation, I was out in the driveway tearing apart the carburetor on my 1970 Mustang, and I had it. My mother would have killed me if she found out. I don't think she knows. She doesn't watch the stream, so although today be the first day. Oh, hey, mom's in the chat. I had newspaper all over the kitchen table, and I was rebuilding the carburetor on the kitchen table on top of newspaper. Did the same on my Corvair, but then of course it was two carburetors, which is just a nightmare to do, but father-in-law had an inspection pit. Nice. So I've got, looks like I probably have at least one here that's got some bite marks on the taper. But what I think I'm going to do is, since I have so many desk pens, I'll find a better pen and just steal the taper off of it. Otherwise, I've got to micro mesh it, which I guess I could do. 2 carbs, so you had to deal with all the sinking, the carbs business. Yeah, yeah. There were two single barrel carbs. I didn't have the spider, which had 2 double barrels, or actually I think that one of the spiders had four singles or 2 doubles or something crazy like that. Yeah, I never got it to work right. I rebuilt the carbs. I never got it to sync right after that. I kind of wish I still had the car, but it was one of those things where I had to put a floor in it. If that tells you anything, there was no floor in it when I bought it. Like there was enough floor for me to drive it home. I often wonder the guy who bought it what he did with it. He still has it in my hometown. I think he was going to part it out, which is a shame, but Midnight Bonfire, thanks for the follow. Welcome aboard. Yeah, I had a new floor I had to put in it, and then I got new carpet for it. It was awesome. If you've never had new carpet in a car, oof. Your parents had one when they were young with a hole in the floor, covered it with the floor mat? Nice. My buddy had a 68. My buddy that I bought this Corvair from, he had a 68 Mustang, and he was working on it, but he had no driver's side floor and thus no driver's side seat. And I remember once he got pulled over for speeding, and the cop looked at him and just about lost it. And actually, he was in the back seat because I think he had been drinking or something, and so he had a designated driver in the front. Um, yeah, that's a funny story. Actually, it was a green 68, much like the color of this pen. I don't know what it was. Every car he had a floor problem. As they say, the price was right though on the Corvair. I think I paid $400 for it. It was a convertible, manual top, of course. Interior was cherry. So once I got the new floor and the new carpet, I got a new top boot. I mean, it looked rough on the outside, but it was all one color. Um, it looked good driving around campus. You just couldn't stop. I mean, if you stopped, it wouldn't it wouldn't restart. It was definitely a one and done type of thing. You take it for a joyride. Either that or the engine had to be totally cold. It wouldn't start when it was warm. So if you were stopping and you were going in, you're going into the mall or whatever and coming out 2 hours later, you'd probably be fine. If you turn it off, if you're going to go get gas, you're screwed. Because it wouldn't start. You'd be at the pump and you'd be like, okay, just you know, push me over to the side. Too bad Ralph Nader got involved in that one. They were cool cars. Especially the later spiders. Those are cool. The only kind of spider I would want. That's a good looking pen. All black like that. Then this one's got the black ring on it instead of just no ring. All right, who wants a desk set? Actually, I got a couple of really cool ones that are coming up. I've got one in teal, a teal telephone dialer. It's maybe the greatest color they ever made. And then I have a seafoam 8-ball, and that's the second greatest color they ever made. In this man's humble opinion. Did I do that one? I just did this one. Just easier to do this when you got the J bar out, because if you do get polish in that lever area, it's just easier to clean out when you don't have that pressure on there. Oh, dipless is pretty clean, which is good. All right, we'll put the J bars in. Ultrasonic stopped a little while ago. Wow, green is pretty. Really, really very pretty pen. Really outstanding color. Did I miss one? What did I do? Yeah, I missed one. Oh my goodness. That is a terrible J bar. There we go. This one gets a new one. All right. Yeah, we may have timed this perfectly. I got 20 minutes here. Although the irony is I moved the schedule so that I could get home early, and since we got all this ink in today, I got a lot of work to do. So I may not be going home early. I guess this is a 2550. What is this doing on my bench? Other than I don't like 2550s. Susan Worth put it there from beyond the grave. Oh, that's why. Yeah, we don't. He loved those nibs. All right. This hard rubber section needs a little help, so I'll put it in the deox. Probably will be ready by the time. It's getting dark, getting awfully dark in there. You're very late today. Bunch of issues at work. Hope everyone's having a great Thursday. Thank you. Well, I hope your day gets better. Glad you're here. I'm thinking this buff stick is dead. Anything exciting in the pen world today? Bunch of new vintage pens up on it. Not vintage. Desk pens look great. You've been working on your coffee grinding, listening but not watching. Bunch of new pens up on the site today. 11 really nice pens. What am I looking for here? Groff ink came in, so we're excited about that. There we go. Auto Hut ink came. We're excited about that. I'm still doling out the Dr. G's. They actually sent me, I think, overfilled the bottles. So I'm actually short bottles. Yeah, there's some real nice pens up on the site today. A lot of discontinued semi-modern, a couple of really cool vintage pieces. I think my favorite is probably the Parker 75 tortoiseshell lac with trying to make you go broke. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. But this is a first. So apparently the first 2 years that Parker made the what they called the lac, it's Chinese lacquer or Urushi lacquer, I guess. They put two Chinese characters on the back of the cap in the lacquer, which stand for Parker. They only did it the first 2 years, and then later they combined the tortoise shell and the wood grain to make the Thuya brown, I guess. And so we have a tortoiseshell with the Chinese characters on the cap, which puts it, 79 to 80 with the first 2 years. And it has the most beautiful patina. Normally, for semi-modern pens and things like that, I run the polish cloth over them. I don't give them microgloss, but I run the polish cloth over and shine it up a little bit. And this has got like it's got this beautiful reddish blue patina on the clip. It's outstanding. It's unbelievable. It looks like, when you see some of these silver coins with the most unbelievable toning, that's what this has right on the clip. It's just really, really great. And so I left it. And it has the clip hang tag. The original box is actually pretty cool. And it's got the outer box that has the name on it and everything. It's a neat 75. I'm not a big fan of 75s per se. I mean, I like the Cisellet, of course. Who doesn't like the Cisellet? And I like the insignias. I like that one we had a couple months ago, which was really a sweet pen. But I don't get into all the various finishes and things like that. I'm not that into it. It's far too modern for my collecting tastes. That one we're gonna wait because I'm gonna cut these and then we'll pull that one out, and that should be probably ready at that point. Just ready enough to. Yeah. Yeah, zoom in on that clip. It is, yeah. In fact, my poor daughter, she was in here on Monday and shooting the pictures of it. And she's got, she wears gloves, and actually I think they're Mont Blanc gloves. Old Mont Blanc gloves that they used to give you. Just to make sure she doesn't get any fingerprints, but she, to remove the dust. And I saw her handling the pen. I said, "Stop." She looked at me like, "Oh shit, what did I do?" I said, "Do not polish that clip." She goes, "Well, I'm not. What did I do? What did I do?" "Don't polish the clip." I was behind the counter. I ran around the counter, and it's like 20 feet to run around the counter to get 4 feet by her. It was just hilarious. It's like, I didn't touch anything really. I'm like, okay, good. I'm trying to teach her, what, all the things that make vintage pens special. And normally I don't care about patina on vintage pens, especially on nibs. Yeah, it was something else. Because it never looks good and you're going to use it, and it will come back, but this was one of those cases where I like, and if it's a vintage eyedropper or something, and it's got great patina on the nib, I leave it. But if it's going to be a pen that, if it's on a vacuumatic and someone's going to use it, yeah, we're we're going to polish it up and make it look good. Yeah, some patina does add value and character. If it's good looking, and I think this one is just outstanding. It's really, really good. So I'm sure she thought I went off the deep end. I'm like, no. But she's got a lot to learn if she wants to run the shop someday. So I try to teach her as much as I can in little bits because it's too much for any one person to know in a short period of time. Well, and the thing about that 75 is it really goes well with the brown. It's really got an outstanding brown color to it, and that reddish bluish hue is just really good. So that's probably my favorite. The Omos is nice too. Oh, leave that out. As long as she requires a love of desk pens, she'll be fine. Uh, there's probably going to be some deal in it that I have to sell all the desk pens before she takes stock in the company. I told her the other day, I said, you're going to have to learn how to repair pens, right? Is she learning as Juicy asked, is she learning the repair and restoration ropes too? No, she is not. Um, she is not at this time. I don't know that she will, which I realize, a strong foundation, strong core of the business is vintage. But oddly enough, you're eyeballing that orange Levenger. I had to think, do I have a Levenger on the website? I think that Levenger, if you read the description, I think somebody swapped the nibs because it's supposed to have originally they would have had a 14 or 18 karat nib on it. And somebody put a no nonsense nib in it, which works, and it's not sold at the 14 karat price. So you could join me on the stream and learn once or twice a week, turn it into a video series for beginners. Maybe down the road. Maybe down the road. She just has so much work to do. Like, we did before we started in August. We spent one day and for 8 hours. We shot all sorts of videos, how-to videos on like every filling system, and I think we got as far as editing 4, maybe 3. One of them didn't turn out so well, so we have to do it again. But so she literally has, and I don't remember, it was 40 videos or something like that. She literally has all these videos to edit yet. Plus, I mean, I've got 250 pens for her to photograph. Plus, there's going to be another 75 consignment pens in the next week. So, I mean, she has no time. She has no time to learn repair at this point. She'll just take the pens that need repair to the old folks' home when Brian is 95. Yeah, no, I'm not moving into the old folks' home, but yeah, that's what's probably going to happen, right? I'll repair the pens until I can't repair the pens anymore. Yeah, not a terrible idea. She should probably learn. Just going to touch up a couple of these sections. They've got a little bit of oxidation. And once that one's done, then we can put these on, and then that's going to be it for today, I think. Yeah, you think they'll let me around sharp objects when I'm 95? If I have my grandfather's genes, I'll live till I'm 99. If I have my father's, not so much. But as they say, you got a little of both, don't you? The sharper, the better. Your grandfather was still doing woodworking well into his 80s? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know when my grandpa stopped doing woodworking because he was a woodworker as well. Um, Sadly, I have no idea what happened to all his woodworking tools. I think he was probably well into his 90s before before they deemed it not safe for him to be around a bandsaw. All right, let's sack these up. That means Monday. I may have to assemble them off camera on Monday because Monday's normal photography day around here. So if I want them photographed and out of here, they got to be ready to go by probably 10:30. Time to go and watch the VOD. All right. Thanks a lot. See you next week or tomorrow. Back to work. All right, Gabriel. You catch the rest later. You have a wall Eversharp desk set with the stub nib. I can't wait to tear into sitting in your stoop. Gonna make the day go by. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes it hard, doesn't it? Even I would think that would be the type of wall Eversharp you should be using. All right, Hans. Good luck. We'll chat later. I am almost done anyway. I never know when Lisa's going to actually be done. If she ends at 4, it could be 4:05. It could be 4:35. Sometimes they have last minute patients come in and I don't know why this is so complicated for me. This one was here. At 65, you surpassed your parents at 58 and 59. Yeah, well, my mom, thank goodness, is still with us, but Dad passed 2 days shy of his 67th birthday. One of the reasons I exercise 6 days a week is just because I'd like to, I'd like to live as long as my grandfather. That's too young. But yeah. Well, I mean, both of your parents passed before 72. It's hard. It's really hard. Yeah. He had a massive stroke, so it wasn't, and he just never it just he never that was it. That's all she wrote. Um, but he was reasonably physically fit. He used to run just about every day. Strong as an ox. I mean, you just don't know. You just don't know. Genes only play part of the equation, right? There's only part of the equation. All right. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to test the nibs first because I can't take pictures of this stupid thing. Um, I got to make sure the nibs work before I shoot the pictures. Otherwise, pictures aren't going to do any good. So I guess Tuesday is photography day. That would be the way to do it. So that's a good group, and then we'll pair those up Monday with some bases, and I've got like 4 black and 3 colored. And then I have 2 more pens that are all set to go with 2 more slender bases in awesome colors. So I've got 9. Oh, plus I've got I'm just going to leave it in there. I've got a Diplos in there. So we're going to have, it'll be 10 Esterbrook Desk sets. That will be ready to go next week. And boy, won't Lisa be happy. And then I've got a nice Parker desk set. Really, really nice. That maybe we'll break into. We'll do desk sets. We'll get all these desk sets figured out. I don't think I have that many more. I'll look around though. I got buckets of them here. And we'll do some. We'll make a desk set week until we can't fix anymore. So, all right. So that's it for me. I'm gonna try not to work too hard here, and get home early, get some exercise, watch a little TV, and then tomorrow we've got podcast at 1:30 p.m. Central Time. Thanks, Jason. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it as always. And we got last minute prep work to get some ink up on the website and get all that stuff ready for the podcast tomorrow. I have no idea what we're talking about, which is usually the case until about Friday morning, what we're talking about. But Lisa writes the script for all that stuff, and we go from there. So, I guess that's it. Can't think of anything else. I hope this worked out for you. I know we're overlapping with the pen addict, but who's probably, I don't know if he's still going or not now or not. So maybe we should check. Should we check? Let's check if he's still on. Let's check. Oh, he's offline. All right. So there it is then. All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. You just a calendar to try to be early on Thursday. Okay. Yeah. It's either that or I short everybody and I don't get all the repair in that I want. The hardcore will just split screen the two. All right. Very good. So there it is, folks. Thanks a lot. Have a great evening, a great afternoon, a great morning, wherever you are in the world. Be kind, be well, and grow your mustache for the month of November. And support men's health. And we'll catch you tomorrow, all right? Take care, everyone. Bye now.